morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Fantasy Show. We are returning on another Friday morning for some more, excellent content for a great show ahead of us. Last one before the international break, of course. Joined as per by Rune. How are you doing this, sunny morning in Sheffield?
Yeah, it's a bit grey here in Denmark, but still doing fine and looking forward to the weekend. And it's about enjoying it before the international break, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much looking forward to getting stuck into it. I do have a spring in my step, I must admit, this morning, as Man United just about kept their season alive last evening in a penalty-filled evening. But yeah, either way around, keeps me going nonetheless. Very much looking forward to this show and the footy ahead this weekend. Just before we get started, of course, if you can leave a thumbs up on the show, that would be lovely. Comment along. Already got a couple of people saying good morning. So very lovely to see all sorts of friendly and familiar faces in the chat. Jay, William, and CFC Storm. Good morning to you all, and good morning to everyone that is watching. Do make sure that you follow us on all various social media platforms that we happen to be on, if you happen to be on them yourselves. And of course, make sure you follow Bulinews. They are also on all forms of social media, so give them a follow wherever you choose to do your scrolling. Righty-ho then, we'll get started as per. Quick question, actually, for us to fend off. This might be the more embarrassing part for me, at least, although I don't actually have my phone on me, so I can't check. It's from Niels saying, "Hi, Rory, Rune and Rory. Which overall rank are you guys on right now?" Rune, would you care to share how you're doing? I haven't got my phone on me, unfortunately, so I can't check. Well, actually, I do, so I can have a quick check if you know by.
I know, like approximately. Not going too well for me this season. I needed some time to adjust to the new scoring system, but I'm around, I think, rank 1,000, something like that. So obviously, big disappointment for me. I used to always finish in the top 100 and also finished fourth one year with the old scoring system. But that's just how it is. And I think now I have a better understanding of how it all works. So looking to finish off the season in a strong fashion and bounce back next season.
Well, there's still time. I mean, top 1,000 in the world is not too shabby, to be honest, considering there's over 1.3 million players globally. That's not too bad. I've found my ranking, and it is top 7,000, which is pretty dire. I have had a couple of poor weeks recently where I've just missed the deadline entirely, but that's my excuse, even though it's a pretty poor one. But yeah, thank you for the question, Niels. Put yours into the chat as well. Let us know how you're all doing. This is a great community, and we like to support people along the way. So if you're wanting to share, pop it in the chat as well, and we'll try and help each other push further up those rankings. Indeed. Righty-ho, but over to obviously the main part of the show, which is trying to forecast who to predict in those key positions. We'll start off with defenders. There we are on screen for you all. Rune, over to you as per.
Starting off with Bundesliga from Leipzig. Might not be the best time to invest in a Leipzig player given their struggles, but at least they kept a clean sheet last week against Freiburg. They returned from a short training camp and tried a different system with playing 4-4-2 or 4-2-2-2 with Bundesliga playing alongside Orban in central defense. So at the moment, it looks like he's ahead of Goalkeeper in the pecking order at the heart of defense for Leipzig. And he cost just 6 million. Got 216 points last week, which is pretty solid for the price, I think. They're coming up against Dortmund. You never know what to expect from them. Dortmund got a great comeback win against Lille, showed great mentality in that game, but do we trust them to build on that and keep it going? You never know. So I think for 6 million, he's a good player that's immersed in the budget category at the back. And then I've gone with Patrick Meinke from Heidenheim as my mid-price pick. You pretty much know what you're going to get from Meinke. He's been pretty solid all season for Heidenheim, one of the best players in what's been a really difficult campaign for them. And this week they're actually seen as the favorites at home against Holstein Kiel, and that will definitely be a game they will look to win. They need to win that game in the relegation race. And I think Meinke should get what he usually gets, just around 200 points. So at 8 million, I think that's solid enough. And then as my premium pick, I've gone with Upamecano, and I actually found it a bit difficult to find a good premium pick this week. But I ended up with Upamecano. He's missed 3 Bundesliga games in a row, had a few problems, but looks like he's now fully fit again. And I feel quite confident he will start this time. I know last week was a total mess, and the whole team was basically rested against Bochum ahead of the Leverkusen game, but I don't think they will rotate too much this time. Partly because they're heading into the international break. They have no real reason to rest players. If Upamecano is fit, I can't see why they shouldn't play him. Also, I think they'll be looking to bounce back from the defeat against Bochum, be a bit more solid at the back like they were against Leverkusen in midweek. And at the moment, his ownership is just 12%. So, could be a good week to bring him back. And as we all know, he was really, really solid earlier in the season when he just kept getting amazing returns week after week.
Yeah, absolutely. We always know that Bayern's bounce back ability is pretty strong, particularly in the league. So you definitely get the feeling that they will be motivated to put the record right after that Bochum loss, and obviously ultimately feeling very good about themselves after the Champions League evening. Question time. So we'll just pull up what we have now. So one in from Jay in regards to what are the chances, or what are Brown's chances of starting after playing a full game last night? Obviously Frankfurt very comfortably getting rid of Dutch opposition in the form of Ajax and moving through to a very tasty looking quarterfinal actually with Spurs. So looking forward to that tie in a few weeks' time. But with Brown playing the full game last night, Rune, what do you reckon to him playing on the Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I still expect him to start. I think the main alternative, if we're talking the wing back position, would probably be Knauf. I think last time Brown was rested, it was Knauf coming in, and Knauf played last night as well. I think I'm not actually sure if he did. I think he also played the full game on the wing, so he's in a similar position to Brown. So it's not like he's fresh and ready to come in. And then they could play with 4 at the back or put Teade in at left back, but he's a different kind of player. Not sure he's the kind of player you would want to have at left back against Bochum. He's also been struggling a bit lately with some injury problems. So all in all, I think looks like Brown will start because there's no player like bench player really in a position where you think, okay, it would be obvious to rotate at that position.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Knauf played a full game last night, you're right, as did Brown. So, good question there, Jay. And then also a follow-up in regards to struggling to find a real standout defender to take the star role. Any suggestions for this week? Rune, obviously, aside from maybe someone like Upamecano, anyone else striking you to be that star contender?
Grimaldo. It was really surprising to me that he was rested last week. Yeah, exactly. Leverkusen did pretty much the same as Bayern did. Rested a lot of players, and Grimaldo very rarely gets rested. So that was a big blow for a lot of fantasy managers out there. But I'd still go with him. It's not like Stuttgart. Sorry, Rory, are in great form either. So I think he's certain to start this time and should do well. So that would be the safe pick, I think.
Yeah, sadly, I was going to say Grimaldo myself because of who he's playing against and the form that VfB are in. Good stuff. Thank you for those, Jay. David T, good morning to you. No, you haven't missed this info. Don't worry. We haven't mentioned goalkeepers yet, but I know there was a question asked on socials as well, Rune. So if we just kind of refocus our attention briefly onto goalkeepers, and if we can cover the news on whether Urbig will start another week. I don't think, unless I've missed it, that Neuer's back anytime this weekend at all.
Urbig will start again, and I think he's been really impressive, all things considered, actually. Mm-hmm. So he'll remain in goal until Neuer is back, and the question is, when will that be? But definitely won't be this week. So Urbig is nailed on for the time being.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for that one, David. And FPL Swans on Blue Sky was asking, looks like Muller is out, so needs a 1 week keeper punt. Would appreciate going through your favourite picks. A 1 week keeper punt for us to try and pick out, Rune. Trying to look at the fixtures and who might be a satisfactory one. Have you got any thoughts on that one? Someone, no one's going to be in the same. Well, because I presume Muller was 1 mil, maybe.
No, he's 5 million, I think. But still a bit difficult to find a starter, and that's in that price category. But I think Kawa Santos actually from Frankfurt.
Because Trapp's injured.
I think that's the same, and Trapp is injured, and they're playing Bochum. So, he could be like a direct replacement.
Timo Horn?
Yeah, and another alternative. I think he's just 1 million more expensive.
Yeah, I think he was. Correctly. Yeah.
But definitely another good option in that same price bracket.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Thank you for everyone. Keep your questions coming in as we slide into our midfielder picks for Rune to work through. And Neil saying, by the way, my overall rank now is 61. Very, very impressive. Keep it up. Hopefully, our tips this weekend help you out a little bit and continue to climb maybe into the top 50. That'd be pretty impressive. 61's already very impressive, so keep it up, Niels. Rune, back over to you for the midfielder picks for this week.
As my budget pick, I've gone with Noah Weishaupt, who I've actually been quite impressed with since he's joined St. Pauli. I think he's really added something to the team, but unfortunately, he hasn't added any goals or assists, which is what St. Pauli really need. They really need goals, and that's been their main problem, I think, this season, scoring those goals. Recently, last week they tried with a different formation with Weishaupt playing up front. So if they continue like that, which I think there's a good chance they will, he'll play out of position as a striker. Costs just 7 million, and he's coming up against Hoffenheim, who in fairness had looked a bit more solid at the back lately, following Baumann's return and with Østigård coming into the back line and providing a bit more security. But still, I think it's a pretty good game for St. Pauli, and a pretty even one. And Weishaupt has to score sooner or later. He's been a bit unlucky, hit the post a few times, and he's always quite involved for St. Pauli, and a player that they're looking that they're hoping can create something for them. And my mid-price pick is Steven Skripski, who's another midfielder who's expected to play up front. And he's been a bit of a super sub for Holstein Kiel this season. Last week he started for the first time in a while. And again, sorry, Roy, but he scored a brace against Stuttgart. And he's a player they're really relying on for goals, and who I think should see a lot more minutes going forward. And again, playing out of position as a midfielder, coming up against Heidenheim, who haven't exactly impressed this season generally and usually concede a goal. So another good differential pick there, I think. And then finally, my premium pick is Nadim Amiri, of course, one of my fantasy favorites this season when he's not picking up red cards anyway. One of the key players, I think, for Mainz generally this season, of course. Also against Gladbach, last week. He's just a difference maker for them. He was recently called up to the German national team as well. So everything's going well for Amiri and Mainz at the moment. So a player in form who I think makes a lot of sense to back.
Yeah, 100%. Some good picks in there. Particularly you feel Skripski. I think he some ridiculous stat about him that he scored his last 6 shots that he's taken in the league, or certainly his last 5 shots. So he's also incredibly clinical right now. So some good picks in there, Rune. Right, we will go to some questions. So let's pick these out. First one in from Jay, saying to whether to hold Wimmer this weekend. And the second question, bring in Musiala or Elise. If you could only pick one, who would it be? So obviously Wimmer for Wolfsburg, going away to very stubborn FC Augsburg, Rune, so a team that has refused to let any goals in at all. Wimmer benched last week as well?
He was ill, and
ill.
Right. I did my transfers around like 1 hour before the deadline, and actually put Wimmer in my side because he was really in form. And then like 20 minutes later, I read a rumor that he was ill, and that he maybe wouldn't be able to play. So I sent out a tweet, and I hope someone saw that tweet, because didn't help my own situation at all. But I thought, hey, maybe someone else hadn't made that transfers at that point. So he was ill, and he only returned to training yesterday, I think. And I think based on what Hasenhüttl said at his pre-match press conference, we can't be sure if he'll start. I don't think he will. I think he will probably come off the bench. It probably needs a bit more time to fully get back. And also, as you say, Roy, it's a difficult away game against Augsburg, who are a tough side to play against, and keeping clean sheets all the time. So I think generally it should be a difficult away game for Wolfsburg. So I'd sell him. And regarding Musiala, he's probably the guy I want the most in midfield this week. I also think I will start him. He's the fact that he didn't score against Leverkusen was just crazy. He had some amazing runs in the second half, and was obviously just very unlucky that he only hit the woodwork. But I think he's starting to show his best now, and obviously Elise is a great alternative as well. So ideally, if you can fit them both in, it would be nice. But if I had to choose, I would go with Musiala.
Well, on that point, then we very nicely transition into FPL Swans. His question is the Bayern attack triple up of Elise, Musiala, and Kane a good shout for this week, or have a defender instead of one? There's absolutely no reason why tripling up on attackers for Bayern is not it's not a bad idea for this weekend. you just get the feeling that the Bayern are really starting to hit their straps. How impressively well they dealt with Leverkusen over those 2 legs. They always bounce back after Bundesliga defeats, generally speaking, and I think they'll be out for goals and out for revenge and take it out on Union Berlin ultimately on the weekend. So I don't see that being an issue. Also, the fact that, Rune has quite rightly mentioned Upamecano earlier on in the show is also an option from a defensive point of view. Anything to add on that, Rune?
I think that trio would be amazing to have. So I think I'll try to see if I can fit them all in. But if you can't find space for Ulisse, I think Upamecano is a good alternative at the back who costs a little less.
Yeah, completely agree there. David T, give the start to Musiala or too big a risk of rotation? Hopefully we've already half covered that from what Rune's said, David, and obviously also indicated that he would be giving his midfield start to Musiala. He from a rotation risk point of view, I agree with Rune in the sense I don't see the reason why Company and Co would bother to do it ahead of an international break. They've got to look after their players, but the way that Musiala played midweek particularly, he looks electric again. So it looks like he's definitely going to start, and I would agree with starring him as well. Then another one from Jay. Thoughts on Xavi Simons against Dortmund, against Dortmund side whose away form after the Champions League and form in general is terrible. Rune, a player that we've mentioned, or you've mentioned particularly on this show in the last month or so. And again, it's, tricky with Leipzig. It's tricky with Dortmund players as well, whether to trust them or not. But did you feel that the kind of change in formation or, restock of the 4-2-2-2 worked for Leipzig, and whether it can work, against the Dortmund side that do not travel particularly well at all?
No, I wasn't impressed by Leipzig. Of course, they were coming up against a Freiburg side who are very tough to play against and solid defensively. So was a difficult game and not one that you would expect Leipzig to score a lot of goals in. But at the moment, I still think they're struggling a bit in terms of getting to big chances, and Simons has experienced a dip in form and is not playing at the level that we're used to seeing from him. So at the moment, I probably wouldn't get him, also because he's quite expensive. A lot of good alternatives in midfield, potential differentials who are cheaper. Sure, Dortmund, as we also talked about earlier, would be overly surprised if they lose again or disappointed again. But at the same time, Leipzig's attack is not one I would back either at the moment, given their form, and especially not because Simons is quite expensive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for that one, Jay. And last question that we have currently from David T. Xhaka to cover Leverkusen, do you expect Amiri to perform better? I've got Nabel as well. Nabel, of course, a player doing excellent, has really come to the fore so far this season, and from a fantasy asset point of view. Rune, thoughts on Xhaka? Obviously, interesting one, because I'm be intrigued to see how much possession Leverkusen, for example, take against Stuttgart, because Stuttgart are a possession-based team. For example, against Bayern, Stuttgart still managed to have 48% possession or something like that, roughly speaking. So maybe the possession stats, and therefore if Xhaka has less of the ball, a tricky one for him, and probably we expect Amiri definitely to perform better.
Yeah, I'd say so too, and that's a very good point actually. The fact that Stuttgart are also like to be in possession and try to be in control, whereas I could see Mainz dominating against Freiburg. Freiburg don't mind sitting back and waiting to strike on the counter at all. So Amiri should have a lot of involvement there. And yeah, sure, having 2 Mainz players, that's a bit that's a lot. But I mean, then great form, and Nebel is so cheap that he's almost a cheat code at 6 million. So can't really go wrong with him. And I think Amiri is one of the top picks for me in midfield this week, and probably also a better pick than Xhaka for me.
Yeah, Mainz really don't want this international break to come. Really, they're in such good form. They don't want any breaks, but this international break may favour some teams more than it does others. Alas, on to our final section then, which is of course strikers, and we will hand back over to Rune to go through his 3 picks. Obviously, in the meantime, make sure you get your questions in for the striker position whilst Rune is wading through his picks. So I'll hand back over to you now.
Yeah, budget pick, Oliver Berg, a budget option who has emerged up front at 4 million. He started recently for Werder, and of course they just beat Leverkusen, so I'm not assuming they'll change much. Mitchell Weiser is suspended, which is a blow for them, so they need to replace him. But other than that, I can't see why they should change much. So he should start up front against alongside Andre Silva once more. Not sure it's a player I'd like put in my starting lineup, but if you're going 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, he could be a player to keep on the bench who could come on in case he delivers. Mid-price pick is Sivcivatse from Heidenheim. They brought him in from Karlsruhe during the winter with the hope that he'd score up goals for them, just like he did in the Zweite Bundesliga. That hasn't been the case so far. It's not really giving them the boost that they were surely hoping for. But he did score last week against Hoffenheim, and I think looked quite good in that game. And I think they're now playing against Holstein Kiel at home. Kiel very rarely keep a clean sheet. They're conceding a lot of goals, so should be a good game for Sivcivatse coming off that goal against Hoffenheim, and he'll definitely be the target player for Heidenheim, the one that they will look to put in good positions and try to find in the final third. And then finally, I just wanted to mention Ekitike. He's been rather disappointing from a fantasy perspective of late. Of course, he was rested last week, which was a real shame for all fantasy managers. Another blow in what was a really terrible weekend, I think, for a lot of fantasy players out there, because almost all the premium assets got a rest. But nevertheless, given that he had a rest in that game, I don't think he will be rotated out again at the weekend. And they're playing Bochum, always a chance to score a few goals, even if Bochum look much more solid now under Hacking than they did earlier in the season. And Ekitike had a good game against Ajax last night, I think. I think he still has a lot of potential, and I wouldn't sell him this week because I feel quite sure he'll start. Not sure he'll take penalties going forward though, but that might not be a bad thing given his recent penalty record.
Yeah, for sure. And just picking that straight up, then Jay's obviously asked about if there's a risk around Ekitike being benched with 2 strikers, obviously otherwise being available in Batshuayi and Wahi. But yeah, Rune, you feel confident in the fact that he'll be given a nod because he's their front striker. He's the one who's been charged with leading the line, and Frankfurt, frankly, pardon the terrible English there, they desperately need to win.
Yeah, exactly. They've lost 3 Bundesliga games in a row. Of course, they've played Bayern and Leverkusen, but then the Ajax tie came in and they focused a lot on that, and their Bundesliga form suffered a bit because of that. And they're in a similar position to every other team, like Bayern and Leverkusen, like we talked about earlier, going into the international break. So unless he's really tired, I can't see why they should rest Ekitike. I think Batshuayi is the only real alternative to that role. I think when Bahi has played, he's more played in behind the striker. The positions that the likes of Götze, Usun, Bahoya also play. So I think Batshuayi is the main alternative. And of course I can't rule it out completely, but I think it would make sense to give Ekitike the start this time because they need that win, and no real reason to rest him unless he's really tired after the Ajax game.
Yeah, precisely that. So thank you for that question, Jay. And I think we'll pretty much finish up there. Don't see any more questions currently or ones that we've missed. So we will leave you guys to that. And obviously, if there are any other questions, do pop them in the comment section, and we will try and pick them up before the end of play today or just before the Friday night kickoff as well. So thank you to everyone that's tuned in with us this morning. As per usual, lovely to see familiar faces, new faces, asking questions and getting involved. It's a lovely community. Like I say every week, but it's very, very true. Do make sure that you leave a like on this video. Like I said, comment if you've not been able to do it live and ask any questions. Sub to the channel, turn those notifications on. Make sure you're following us on all different forms of social media, including Blue Sky, where we have our own dedicated Bundesliga show page. I'm on there, Rune is on there, and of course Bulinews are on there as well. So make sure you check us out and give us a follow and spread the good word. Otherwise, thank you all for tuning in and watching, asking questions, however you've got involved. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the footy when it comes. Good luck. Hopefully we all have excellent Bundesliga fantasy weekends. And thank you, Rune, as per. We'll catch you in the next one, which of course will be our Monday review, which will be the last one for a week or so whilst we go into international hibernation. So cheers all. Catch you next time.
Bye.